Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So guys, some of you may or may not be aware of the movie The Eagle Has Landed. Is one of those wartime Second World War European movies. So some of you may or may not be aware of it, The Eagle Has Landed, but you might well be aware of that term. Maybe a few of you have heard the term The Eagle Has Landed. So now The Eagle Has Landed, but in this instance, the daddy has landed is really how to start this video off. As guys, I bring you this. What Obasanjo said about El-Rufai after meeting in Kaduna. So that's the headline. What Obasanjo said about El-Rufai after meeting in Kaduna. So now that's the headline. Now let's see now what Baba Iyabo has to say. Uncle Shege, you know, Baba, Obasanjo, etc. He has so many appellations under the Nigerian space, but let's get into it. Former Nigeria President Olusegun Obasanjo has described Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai as one of the best persons to work with. Obasanjo stated this on Wednesday when he paid a private visit to El-Rufai at the government house. El-Rufai served under Obasanjo first as Director General, Bureau of Public Enterprises, and later as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. He is one of the best persons to work with. El-Rufai is a near genius, Obasanjo said. We need a character like this, a man that you know where you stand with him. Any job given to him will be well done. I made women matter in my government. He has done the same in Kaduna. He's a very good learner. Obasanjo described his visit as homecoming, saying he is a son of the soil. The former president built his first house in the Makira area of the city between 1959 and 1967 when he served at the Mogadishu Battalion of the Nigerian Army in Kaduna. So now this is now President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, ex-President Obasanjo going to Kaduna, of course, to go and meet with Malam El-Rufai to say, oh, you are an anointed son. So now this is now Obasanjo, of course, now playing into the intricacies and the politics of the era. So there's several elements to this, and there's several layers to this visit, because of course President Obasanjo would not visit Kaduna to go and meet El-Rufai because he needs a good lunch. Of course he's going there with intent, so he's going there to anoint him. So that anointment, of course, has several stanzas. So the first stanza, of course, is a pushback against Malam Buhari and his regime. So what he's saying is, look, we all know that we are now under the rule of Janjaweed. The country is now in the vice grip of Janjaweed people, but you at least are an intellect, and I have worked with you. I have an established relationship with you, so I will establish you as an anointed person within this dispensation, just really to jar their senses. So that's the first calling. The second calling, of course, is to Tinubu. So the second calling now is to send that signal to Tinubu, the looter of Lagos State, that look, this guy is going to contend this APC thing with you. That is if we don't have something happen in this next 4 years. But if you people follow through all the way for these 4 years, then the contention is going to be between you, this Tinubu element, and this El-Rufai character, of course. And my anointing is anointed upon this El-Rufai. So now this now sends this signal now to El-Rufai that look, I am anointing you because our relationship is stronger and firmer than your relationship one with Buhari, who you used to insult, by the way. And by the way, El-Rufai used to be one of the key voices that used to insult and dismiss Malam Buhari back in the day before he became a new convert, when suddenly by osmosis this Malami became president of Nigeria, and then of course El Rufai now became his champion, because El Rufai of course is anybody's bride. He is the bride of the person that has the highest digits in their dollar account, and the highest digits in the dollar account of anybody at the moment of course belongs to Malam Buhari. So is Buhari's bride at the moment. It was Segun Obasanjo's bride previously, so now he's of course reverted to type. But then of course you know how two-faced the Malamis are, the Fulanis are, and if you don't know how two-faced the Fulanis are, then, and if you are a Yoruba person by the way, then go to your history and go and look at the history of Afonja, and Afonja, who had an agreement of course with the Malams and was betrayed and then shafted to the point that we lost Kwara State to the Malamis. And when I'm saying we, I'm speaking of course as a Yoruba man. And if you still don't believe that, you say that is back in history, then go and speak to Abiola, and Abiola will tell you that he had a gentleman's agreement with who he thought was his bodies, Abacha and Babangida. But then of course when it comes to stabbing in the back, there's nobody on this planet. God has not created a human being capable of stabbing anybody in the back more than a Malami. All these Malamis are treacherous by nature, and they're completely dishonest in their person, and this of course is what is playing out now. So now Obasanjo has a full understanding of this of course, because he has lived amongst them, and from this reading of course now we've discovered that his first house actually that he has ever owned was amongst the Malamis, and throughout his 8 years in government he always favored them, to the point that the people of his own home state are saying that you did not even build a road to your own village, and you've built everything for the Malamis. So this is a Malami guy. So he is now playing them at their game. So now this visit now to Kaduna State is a very weighted visit in this sort of climate that we're in now, because outside of Atiku, there's nobody within the northern space of Nigeria that is more Nigerian than El Rufai. El Rufai understands the codings of the Yorubas. He doesn't understand it fully, but he understands it to the level that is able to interact with the Yoruba person and manipulate the Yoruba senses with his understanding of that Yoruba coding. And what we are also discovering now is that he's putting a lot of Yoruba people on his team, of course, in preparation for 2023, because this is the final play out now, because 2023, of course, is the final window of opportunity for El Rufai, because when Yar'Adua became the president of Nigeria after Obasanjo, the person that was actually meant to go through was El Rufai, and a lot of people, especially a lot of Yorubas, were going to him now and saying, look, my man, this is your time now, this is your turn now, and this is your window. Seize this moment or forever regret it. He did not seize that moment because, you know, El Rufai, of course, he likes to prim and peacock, and he wants to appear as though people are persuading him against his will. So when he was dilly-dallying, that window of opportunity closed. So the regret of that now is what has led to that suffrage that the Nigerian space went through with, I'm not going to say Nigeria suffered from Yar'Adua because it wasn't there enough for us to make a firm decision on this regime, but certainly the suffrage that we went through under Goodluck Jonathan and the now crass brutality that we're going through now under this Malami called Buhari, who is just some, I don't want to be calling the guy a dunce all the time, so I'm just going to leave that out. I don't want to be describing Buhari as a dunce all the time. This is something that is your judgment to make. I've made that judgment in my own personage, that this is a person of no real thinking, of no real cranial function, but you can make that decision. But then, of course, now, this window of opportunity that's passed El Rufai by, opens only slightly again in 2023. So the stick in the mud now for 2023 for El Rufai, of course, now is Bola Tinubu, and that is two sticks in the mud actually for El Rufai for 2023. So the first stick in the mud is Bola Tinubu, who looms large over all of that APC structure. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, of course, is power transition between the North and the South, which is an unspoken agreement. It is a spoken agreement. I keep saying it's an unspoken agreement, but it is actually a spoken agreement, if though not a constitutional requirement, between the North and the South. So the agreement, after what happened to Abiola, of course, within the Nigerian space, is that the North will have a turn at the presidency, and then after that turn, they will then cascade back to the South, and then once the South have had their turn, it will then cascade back to the North. So this seems to be the unspoken agreement within the Nigerian space. So these are the two elements now, of course, that Malam El Rufai has to contend with if he has any ambitions of being the Nigerian president. So the first one is Bola Tinubu, which is an internal affair within their APC structure. The second element, of course, is that North-South transiting of power. So the first element is something that he can handle internally. If he's more powerful than Tinubu within the APC structure, he can overwhelm him, and I do not imagine that he has that capacity, because Tinubu is a kill or be killed sort of element. So that is first fight to even get that mandate. But then the second element then, after he gets that mandate, is the outcry then from the southern regions of the country to say that, no, you people have had 8 years now running with this Malam Buhari element who has been killing people right, left, and center. Now let's now come to the civilized southern regions of the country so that we can add some civility to the country. So this is what the argument will be, of course, from the southern regions, and the southern regions, of course, are the Igbos and the Yorubas. So now this is the two narratives that El Rufai is having to contend with in his ambition to become the next Nigerian president after Malam Buhari. So now this Obasanjo visit is a real boost and a real boon to him, because President Obasanjo, of course, is a Yoruba man. That's the first thing. President Obasanjo, he was the president of Nigeria. That's the second thing. President Obasanjo also served the Nigerian state very well. That's the third thing, because whatever it is you think of President Obasanjo, he brought GSM to Nigeria. There's no taking that away from him, because that came in under his regime. So that's the first thing. The second thing is he wiped out all the debt of that country, and he put that country actually in another coloration within the international space. There's absolutely no denying this. Whether you like Obasanjo or you don't like him, and I'm not really sure even if I like him or don't like him, I just think he's a bit of a... I don't want to be using crass words on this channel anymore, but I'm not really sure what my thinking is on Obasanjo. But whatever your thoughts are, this guy still retains that magnousness within the Nigerian space, and that magnitude, of course, is now what is being vested upon this El Rufai character, and you can see obviously how he's gleefully accepting that, because Obasanjo anointing him now then goes towards the answering of that Yoruba question of the power transiting to the south, because the power transiting to the south, of course, is entirely a Yoruba question, because the Igbos, of course, have their own agenda, which is all about IPOB and their leader Nnamdi Kanu, etc., and all the chanting. So the Igbos have a completely different narrative. So if power should transit to the southern parts, then of course it's a Yoruba narrative. So now with the Yoruba man, a former president of the country, and by the way, there's nobody that is Nigeria more than Olusegun Obasanjo. Obasanjo has governed that country longer than anybody else. Obasanjo has shaped that country more than anybody else. And Obasanjo's name in the history of that country called Nigeria goes to the top of the pile above anybody else, above Abacha, above Babangida, even though Babangida will come second to Obasanjo, but Obasanjo will come above Babangida just in terms of longevity and impact, and it certainly go above Malam Buhari, who is just now, and you all know what Malam Buhari is anyway. I don't really, like I said, I don't want to be using words like idiots and whatever on my channel anymore. So now this is now the narrative now that is now playing out within this space now. Conversations in the comment section. Obasanjo's visit to Kaduna State is a very intricate and a very delicate and a very coded and a very intense visit. This is something that is done with intention, but what is your reading of it? Come share thought about all this with me in the comment section. But before you do this, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Click on the bell button as well. That notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of both this video and Obasanjo's visit, and your thinking of the marriage of all the equations in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry on with you in the comment section. But here I say peace.